We have the top 7 portable flat top griddles in the United States, and we're putting them through the Barbecue Lab series of tests to crown a winner. I'm David Gafford, and Melissa and I test the gear that you're thinking about buying so you can make great investments with your outdoor cooking dollar. In this video, we're testing capacity, mobility, high heat, low heat, sear capability, and a whole lot more. So if you're thinking about picking up a portable griddle, you are in the right place. First, where did all of these come from? Some we had on hand already at the lab, some we were sent by the manufacturer, and some we just went out and bought. We're treating them all the same way, and the test results are simply the results. We show you the tests, and you can see the results, whether they're good, bad, or ugly. Let's meet the contenders. The least expensive of the bunch is the Char-Broil 22-inch Performer model, costing only $124. Next up, costing more than twice that amount at $299, we have the Camp Chef Gridiron Game Day. For $50 more, we have the Halo Elite 1B and the Blackstone 22-inch Flex Fold, both costing $349. The Weber Slate 22-inch costs $379. The Solo Stove Steelfire 22-inch costs $399. And finally, the Pit Boss Ultimate 23-inch Liftoff costs anywhere between $410 and $599, depending on where you're shopping. And if you want to check out any of these products yourself, there are links down in the description, or you can scan this QR code here on the screen. Making a purchase through our links is an easy way to support our channel, and it's you who keep more great testing coming in future videos. All of these are portable size griddles, but the cooking surfaces range in size by almost 150 square inches. The Halo Elite 1B has the smallest cooking surface, offering 284 square inches of hot rolled steel. The next smallest is the Steelfire 22-inch with a 321.7 square inch stainless steel cooking surface. The Char-Broil cold rolled steel surface measures 350 square inches, and the Weber Slate 22 comes in just over that with 352 square inches of rust-resistant carbon steel. The Blackstone 22-inch Flex Fold has a cooking surface of 361 square inches of cold rolled steel. The Pit Boss Ultimate 23-inch has 421 square inches of non-stick armored ceramic cooking surface. And the largest of the group is the Gridiron Game Day with 425 square inches of cold rolled steel. As expected, the greatest capacity can be seen in the Gridiron and the Pit Boss, which easily held 15 pancakes with some space between them. The Char-Broil, the Weber, and the Blackstone each squeezed in 15 already cooked pancakes, but would have struggled to cook and flip that many in one flight. 15 pancakes on the Halo looked like this. They fit, but were touching edge to edge. We only put 12 pancakes on the Steelfire, but in hindsight, we probably could have fit 13 by adding an extra to the middle row, but with the rounded corners, there was no way to fit 5 across the top and bottom. Most of these griddles are 2-burner units, but a couple of them are single. The Steelfire 22 has a single 14,000 BTU burner. The Halo Elite 1B also has a single burner, but with a dual zone system. So it's one 15,000 BTU burner with the ability to only light the right half and leave the left side off. It's a cool idea, but we found it to be tricky, especially since the only way you can see what's lit is through a small peephole on the opposite side from where the knob is. The Weber has two 8,000 BTU burners. The Blackstone has two 10,000 BTU burners. The Char-Broil and the Gridiron both have two 12,000 BTU burners, and the Pit Boss has two 13,000 BTU burners. By the way, if you're getting value out of this video, hit the like button and subscribe if you want more videos like this. To understand the low heat control on these griddles, we place the weighted surface griddle probe from ThermalWorks in the center of each griddle and graphed the temperature on low. We ignited all of the burners on each griddle, turned them as low as they would go, and set a timer for 15 minutes. The griddle with the lowest temperature was Weber with a low of 289.2 degrees. The second lowest after 15 minutes was the Pit Boss with 372.7 degrees, and in third place is the Halo coming in at 435.6 degrees. The griddle with the highest low temperature was the Gridiron with a low of 496.4 degrees, over 207 degrees hotter than the winner in this category. Here are the graphs of the temperatures for each griddle going from cold to low for 15 minutes, with all burners ignited and set to low. I know that not all griddles are created equal, and cooking evenness can tell you a lot about each flat top. We ran the bread test at the end of our low heat test, where our griddles had been set to low for 15 minutes. We placed pieces of bread across the cooking surface and let it go for 5 minutes. At the flip, here's how the toast looked on the Blackstone, Charbroil, Gridiron, and the Halo. And here's how it looked on the Pit Boss, Steelfire, and the Weber. In our opinion, the Halo takes first place with the most even result, followed by the Steelfire in second place and the Pit Boss in third. The Blackstone rounds out the end in sixth place, and the Charbroil takes seventh. To understand the top level heat for each griddle, we started from a cold griddle and cranked all of the burners up as high as they would go and set a timer for 15 minutes. The hottest griddle was the Gridiron Game Day, which topped 727.2 degrees Fahrenheit at the 15-minute mark. The Charbroil came in just behind that with a top heat of 725.5 degrees, and the Blackstone comes in third with a high of 658.8 degrees. The griddle with the lowest high heat was the Weber that tapped out at 448.3 degrees. Here's a graph of how each griddle fared during the high heat test, showing starting temperature all the way to the highest heat at the 15-minute mark. We created a free downloadable PDF of all the data, graphs, and charts from this testing, and you can get it down in the description below if you'd like to dive deeper into the data to help you find the right griddle for you. In just a second, we're going to test how these griddles perform in windy conditions, but first, I want to pass a question off to you. If you're into camping or tailgating and can only take one portable outdoor cooking appliance with you, what's it going to be? Griddle, pellet grill, charcoal grill? Tell me in the comments below and tell me why, because I have an answer that I'll put on social media in a few days, but I want to see if you can change my mind with the way you see things. Whenever I use a griddle here in the Midwest, there's usually a wind blowing outside, so to test that with each griddle, we set a fan blowing on high 20 inches from the griddle surface, leveled with the center of the fan at griddle level. We measured the wind speed between 6 and 7 miles per hour for this test. Each griddle was set to high for 15 minutes, and at the 15-minute mark, we took temperature readings at the far right, mid-right, center, mid-left, and far left points using the ThermalWorks weighted griddle thermometer. The previous day, we ran the same test without the fan and logged those numbers as well, and charted the difference the fan made to the griddle performance. First place goes to the Blackstone with an average difference of 84.9 when the wind was blowing. Second place goes to the Weber with a difference of 102.4, and the third goes to the Halo with a difference of 117.8. The remaining four seemed much more affected by the wind, with Charbroil coming in sixth place with a difference of 241.8, and seventh place goes to the Steelfire with a difference of 248.5. We found those results to be a bit surprising since the 30-inch version of the Steelfire only saw a 75-degree dip in temperature in our full-size griddle roundup, but that version was designed with a more recessed griddle top as opposed to this one where the griddle is more elevated. Speaking of which, if you'd like to see us test larger models of griddles, I'd suggest watching that video next. We'll put that link down in the description and up here in the card. To test the quality of the sear that each of these griddles can give us, we ran a smash burger test. Each griddle was preheated to 500 degrees as measured by the weighted griddle thermometer, and we let the burgers go for 90 seconds on the first side with a healthy dose of our essential equation, salt, pepper, garlic seasoning. At the flip, here's how the sear looked on the Blackstone, Charbroil, Gridiron, and Halo. And here's how the sear looked on the Pit Boss, Steelfire, and the Weber Slate. We rated the sear, and first place goes to the Steelfire with the hardest sear of the group, followed by the Blackstone and then the Charbroil for third place. At the bottom of the ranking, we found the sear on the Pit Boss earning it a 6th place finish, with the Gridiron rounding out the testing batch in 7th place. Considering the fact that the Gridiron tested as our hottest griddle a few minutes ago, it's probably safe to assume that we could have achieved a better sear if we let it get hotter first, but we prefer our smash burgers at the 500-degree point. If you want to see how we reach this conclusion, feel free to watch our Overthinker's Guide to the Perfect Smash Burger, where we tested all of the different variables that can go into this classic griddle recipe. Now, location and size of the grease drain is always a concern with griddles, but when you're working with portable units, capacity of the grease cup is also important. First, the Charbroil, Gridiron, Pit Boss, and Weber all have their grease drain in the front left corner of the griddle surface. The Blackstone and the Halo both drain grease to the rear center, neither losing cooking surface to do so. The Halo also has a cool utensil scraper squeegee, which we enjoyed on their larger griddle as well. The Steelfire also drains to the back center, but you do lose some cooking space in the process. The Halo has the largest grease capacity, holding about 5.5 cups of liquid before overflowing, while the Steelfire had the smallest, holding only 1 3/4 cups. Since these are all considered portable griddles, all but one of them can be fueled by a 1-pound propane canister. The Pit Boss Ultimate is the only one that has to be hooked up to a 20-pound propane tank. The Halo Elite 1B is unique in that it includes adapters for either using a 1-pound or a 20-pound tank, offering the most fuel flexibility of them all. There's even a natural gas conversion kit available if that's the route that you want to go. Adapter hoses can be purchased separately to convert the others from 1-pound to 20-pound propane tanks, but I'm not aware that there's a way to convert the Pit Boss from a 20-pound to a 1-pound tank. By the way, we went through a ton of the 1-pound Coleman propane tanks through our testing, and it wasn't until almost the end before we finally discovered a great solution for refilling propane. We just picked up this Mr. Heater fuel keg refill kit and a couple of the fuel keg bottles. You hook it up to your 20-pound propane tank, and in 60 to 90 seconds, you've got a full 1-pound canister. It's a bigger upfront cost to go this route, but a huge savings and way less waste in the long run. I don't know, maybe I'm late to the game discovering this, but I wanted to pass that along for anyone who might think that's helpful. While these are all considered portable griddles, the effort it takes to move them around does vary some. Melissa and I worked together to test the portability of each, working together as a team, and then I took a stab at lifting them by myself. There were really only 2 that I would have felt comfortable moving by myself, and those were the Charbroil and the Steelfire, both weighing under 40 pounds, with a small enough footprint to really get my arms around. Now, the Blackstone includes the Flex Fold stand with wheels, so it can be moved around with one person, but it took both of us to figure out how to fold and unfold it. It would definitely take 2 people to lift it up into the bed of a truck. The others work best with 2 people because of the size and weight. To summarize everything we've covered so far, I'll share my final thoughts on each griddle. First, the Charbroil is the most affordable of them all. It offers great searing and high heat power. It's lightweight and easy for one person to move around. However, since it doesn't have a lid, you really can't leave it outside. It has clear hot spots, it's heavily affected by the wind, and it struggles to manage low temperatures. I would estimate this to only be a 1 or 2 season solution before needing replaced. Next, the Camp Chef Gridiron Game Day showed some real high heat potential and a huge cooking surface, but it struggled with low temperature management. The Blackstone 22 Flex Fold really dominated in the wind test, showed excellent high heat power. It was great for searing and was easy enough to move a distance with only one person. When comparing this model to other Blackstone models we've tested over the years, this one is probably our favorite. On the flip side, it did show some significant hotspots and struggled with low temperature management. The Halo Elite 1B stood out right away by offering the little extra details. Fuel flexibility with 2 included adapters, a built-in level, the spatula squeegee, and a huge grease bucket. The Halo showed us the most even cooking and did pretty well cooking in the wind. However, I do wish the lid opened further. It's hard to see the burner while adjusting the knob, and the half burner, while it's a cool feature, it's a little confusing to manage. The Weber Slate 22 performed okay in the wind and excelled at low heat management. However, it was definitely limited on the high heat end of things, and we weren't able to achieve the sear we were hoping for. If I was buying a griddle for pancakes, the Weber would be my choice because it loves that 300 to 350 heat zone. We love the stainless steel griddle surface on the Solo Stove Steelfire 22. It cleans up easily and can even be pulled off completely to wash with soap and water in the sink. It offered great searing power, cooking evenness, and was easy enough for one person to move it around. On the downside, there's the smallest drip pan of the group. If you like to use water to clean your top, that can be a problem. I may have not checked my drip tray and loaded the top full of ice and spilled water and grease all over the place. Not my best day. This model is really affected by the wind, so it needs a more calm environment to really excel. On the Pit Boss, it's a huge bonus that there is a cart for home use and the griddle can be separated for tabletop use on the go. The ceramic cooking surface is easy to clean and we found good evenness while cooking. Low temperature management was good and there's one of the largest cooking surfaces of the group. On the downside, we didn't get the greatest sear on our smash burger, and that's a trade-off for the easy cleaning top, in my opinion. When you're on the go, it's a pain to lug around a 20-pound propane tank, but if you're not going far, it's really not that big a deal. It was really affected by the wind, so finding a sheltered area is pretty key. So those are my thoughts on each one, but I know that you like it when I pick a winner, so here goes. If you're looking for one griddle to use at home and on the go, the Pit Boss is the best solution in my opinion. Having a cart model on the patio, but take the top with you in the RV is exactly what this model was designed for, so this is a great dual-purpose griddle. If I wanted a griddle for tailgating, I would choose the Steelfire 22-inch. It's lightweight and easy enough to move independently, and I just love the removable stainless steel top. If you're looking for a truly portable, take-anywhere griddle, I'd choose the Blackstone 22-inch FlexFold. The FlexFold stand takes a little practice to understand how to use it, but they've made a griddle that can actually be moved a distance by one person. Maybe you're not as interested in the portability as much as the size, and you're looking for a good solution for apartment balconies. I would choose the Halo Elite 1B. It includes some of the little details that just set it ahead of the others, and I think that it would be a great choice for a small space. But maybe you disagree, and you can let me know down in the comments which one would win for you. If you're thinking about making a purchase of any of the grills or items in this video, you can scan the QR code here on the screen or find the links down in the description below. You support our channel when you use our links, and it's you who keep the testing going. I'm David from the Barbecue Lab. Behind the camera and all of this testing is Melissa, Addie, Ethan, and even Uno. Thanks for watching, and we will see you on the next one.